Hello there. This is another edition of Pedal Talk. And as usual, we've got some fun interviews coming up, as well as one today. We're going to be meeting with, or are meeting with, Thad Eby. He is the founder of the Wild West Gravel, which is a different type of gravel event. I don't think I've ever never seen one like it in Colorado. It is a gravel bike packing event that goes from Colorado and up into Wyoming. Started about 4 years ago as kind of a private event and grew and grew. And now it's the first all in event that you can register for, be part of, and enjoy 3 days of gravel bike packing, which is a challenging, and it looks beautiful and much different than anything I've ever seen here in Colorado. So, welcome, Thad. How are you doing, sir?
Gary, thanks for having me, and I'm excited to be talking to the Pedal Talk community. Appreciate the invite and super excited to be here.
So, tell me a little bit about how this event got started.
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, I'm an explorer. I really do love kind of like going to places that you think people would know more about, but they don't. And they're kind of in that, extended to kind of that off the beaten path. And so
Hmm.
this event is called Wild West Gravel. It's a 3 day adventure that starts in Livermore, Colorado, which I think if you were to ask 99% of Coloradans, where's Livermore, they
Don't
would
know.
probably think
No clue.
picking a place in the UK. And so, obviously nothing that's super easy to be able to kind of get to and find. But the real thing that was really the gem of Wild West Gravel was the destination. We go to
Hmm.
this really cool place called Woods Landing. It's actually was started, I think, in like the late 1800s, 1900s, but it's basically a town, a post office, a dance hall, and a little river resort that sits on the Big Laramie River inside of Wyoming. And so with Wild West Gravel, it was all about how can we take people to this remote stretch, show them a very beautiful place, but also give them some history to be able to see, and more importantly, do it all on a gravel bike.
So, how many miles is it?
So it's actually kind of funny. So we have basically broken up over 3 days. We start on a Friday, and it starts Friday morning around 10 a.m. We start from Livermore, and we go right into Woods Landing. We're going to go over two distinct areas, but that first day is about 67 miles.
Hmm.
Then we have day two, which is a Saturday. And we've actually kind of orchestrated four different versions of the same ride. We go through kind of the Medicine Bow region, Medicine Bow National Forest, along with a couple rail trails, which are just splendid, beautiful gems of Wyoming. And then kind of all end at this place called the Bear Bottom Inn, which is a bar that's got kind of live music, a lot of fun. And then we go back to Woods Landing. That can vary anywhere from 90 miles all the way down to 20. And then on day three, we go back from Woods Landing into Livermore, about 62 miles or so. So if you want to sign up for the whole enchilada, 211 to about 150 miles, just depending on how much riding you're up for and where you want to get started.
Hmm. So, this started 4 years ago. How did you first find this route, name it, pick it out? How did you do that? What did it come
Yeah,
from?
yeah. We started with the destination. I think that was the first place was how could we get to Woods Landing, Wyoming, but also bring together the best gravel in that area. And we
Hmm.
actually realized that there were two different routes. There is what's called the Cherokee Park Road, which actually shares some of the smoother gravel that you'll find in the Foco Fondo. Foco Fondo does do a loop of Cherokee Park and comes up and around. We actually don't go quite as high when we do our kind of our first visit, which is Sand Creek Pass. But that was kind of the first piece was let's start with that destination and let's get some of the best gravel that kind of links the two locations together. And the way we actually did it is we threw out a calling to our friends. We said, hey, who would like to join us on this adventure? Really don't know how it's going to work. We're going to try to have some water bottles dropped. I worked with a couple friends. We, put water along the route. And I think we got about 25 people or so that signed up for that first year as really kind of a grassroots event. Over time, we've perfected the route. We've gone through and have, seen some of the things that worked well. And we really started to formalize it come 2024 with an official event.
That's cool. So, how do you sign up first when you
Yeah,
sign up
so
for
we
this
have
event?
Yeah, we have a great website, wildwestgravel.com. It's literally just the name of the event spelled out. So
Hmm.
wildwestgravel.com.
Makes it
Um,
easy.
Very simple, no special spaces or anything like that. From there, though, there's actually some information around the route. There's the whole course details, as well as some of the history of some of the things that you get to do as part of the event, along with the amenities that we're putting on as part of it. You mentioned bike packing. We've actually tried to set this up to be not only an adventure ride that includes gravel and bike packing, but we also offer a Sherpa service for those that don't want to necessarily take all of their luggage with them over the passes that they're going to be going over.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people like myself. I'm one included. I've got a couple great gravel bikes, but I don't have the equipment to pack. I don't have the racks and everything right now to be able to totally pack up my bike because I've never done anything like this before, and I'm considering it. This would be a fun first timer for me.
So it's funny for a first time thing. I think there's kind of like it is kind of like choose your own adventure in the
Hmm.
sense that if you want to just do the simple credit card camping approach where you're just packing clean kit, clean gear, food for you, you've got that option. I actually just did a trip about a 10-day adventure across Europe where we bike packed along through starting in Munich all the way down to the base of Slovenia, the capital. And that we did completely with credit card. And to your point, that expense to be able to get the equipment, Gary, it's actually not that expensive.
Hmm.
It's a simple saddle bag that you can throw on. It's pretty aero. You actually don't even notice that it's there when you're kind of cruising along, providing you don't pack like a kitchen iron or something like that. But you then have kind of all the other side of things where you really add in like your sleep system. And I think when you look at bike packing, where you're including your kit for sleeping, for also for camping, with cookery, it really is. It's a massive investment. I think you could probably spend more money on your bike packing setup than you can on a car. So we're always kind of a big fan of make it simple and easy, and make it a lot of fun in the meantime.
So, with this, about how many feet of elevation are you training on, or not training? How many feet of elevation is in this trip, climbing wise?
Yeah, so it's not. I wouldn't say it's too crazy. Overall, you can go up to 17,000 feet if you want to get a little kind of fun in that regard. The one thing I will say that we've set it up to be for each day. The first day would be about 5,700 feet,
Hmm.
and the sorry, I was wrong on that. Sorry, the first day is about 6,000 feet. The third day is about 5,000 feet. So you definitely have your first day is going to be your harder of getting to Woods Landing. And then that third day is going to be a little bit easier. But, all in, you can break it up to about 17,000 feet over a 3-day adventure, depending on, which routes you choose to go and how you want to take the course.
How many riders are you expecting this year, or what is
Yes.
capacity? Should I say?
Yeah, so we put capacity this year at about 100 people, is where we kind of like locked it in at. Right now, we're just over halfway sold on that. So we've got a little bit of time before we fill it out. Our goal, though, was to make sure that we had plenty of resources. So that means warm showers when you get into camp. It meant that we have good quality food that's not crap that you buy out of a vending machine. We wanted to have it so that you'd have great entertainment and of course beer to be able to be served afterwards. And we felt that that 100 was about the right size to get the group
Hmm.
together, and more importantly, be able to have the best event and the best course for everyone that's going to be part of it.
And first year you did this 4 years ago, how many people were on it when
We
it
had
was kind
it
of
was a
the
little over
unofficial?
a little over 20 is kind of I think where we were, where we kind of came in on it that year. We pretty much loaded everybody's bags up in a truck. There were a couple people who actually bike packed it out and actually came in and had all their full sleep system included. But we found that with 20 it was definitely, we still had some room to add in some more people. We know that this year it's going to take a lot more water and everything else that we'll need to
Hmm.
make sure that we've got everybody supported.
Okay. Yeah. So, as far as, let's say, if you're considering this, what type of training is there? Anything specific that you would try to do different than just putting in miles every day, putting in longer miles on the weekend? Anything more specific that you would recommend?
Yeah, well, first off, I think there's no question this is a gravel ride. Expect to be on gravel for a pretty extensive period. I mean, you're talking,
Hmm.
upwards of 85% of the course going there and back will be on strictly gravel. So that's one thing you want to be definitely comfortable with. I think for tires, you're going to want, nothing smaller than like a 35 millimeter. There's not really what I call any sand traps or any real aggressive washboard on the track. There's nothing
Hmm.
technical, which makes it really helpful for those that are trying to go after. We do have an option on day one, which is day two, which is our Avid ride. There is a pretty extreme, hike a bike section that's a little fun for people to get involved with. Again, that's completely optional. I
So
think you
describe that. Describe that.
Yeah. So on day two, we have this course where we go up to the top of Medicine Bow National Forest Peak. And,
Okay.
in the 1950s, there was actually a plane crash that took place in that area. It was essentially a long haul flight that was coming in from Denver going to San Francisco. And the pilot was trying to cut some time, ended up basically missing, and went right into the peak of Medicine Bow National Park. That plane is still there, right? So the wreckage and everything that happened with that, they actually realized it was too big, so they just basically got rid of everything that they could and pulled that together. To get to that section, you've actually got this really tranquil hike that you're going to go through. It is a road, but it's definitely a road that's pretty primitive. There's going to be a couple of rock gardens that are going to be kind of intertwined in there, and it'll be a little bit of a section. Not more than a mile though. So you're not looking at, an extensive hike a bike, but you definitely
Hmm.
want to make sure that you've got the machine, the bicycle for it, and that you have kind of gone down that path. Now, for everything else, I don't want to scare anyone. For
Yeah.
everyone else, you're talking about some good elevation gain, but you're not going to get into anything that's going to be kind of above a 12% pitch. And it's extreme. I mean, it's really going to be kind of like nice, gradual, smooth, easy, and then being able to come back down. But you want to be comfortable riding kind of in that 60 to 70 miles on gravel, being able to do it in remote stretches. We
Hmm.
do plan on having water about every 25, 30 miles. So being able to kind of sustain for a period is going to be important. But if it's something that you'd like adventure and you're able to get out for stretches at 2.5 hours at a time, it's definitely would be suitable for somebody who's had that level of training.
Okay. So you don't need to be totally world class, 100
Oh
miles a
no,
day.
absolutely not. No, and the year we had it, I think we actually had somebody. The first year we did it, I think we had somebody in their 70s that was part of the course. We had obviously a mix of riders that were kind of involved. All sorts of body types, everything that we saw out there. So you definitely don't need to be fit. Obviously, I would say that you want to be more comfortable on long stretches of gravel in remote
Mhm.
areas and be comfortable with nature.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize I'm one of them because I've started riding gravel a lot more lately. But the first time I was went on gravel, I'd been on road my whole life. I'd never been on gravel, and I did a day of it, and I did not realize how taxing that was compared to road. It's just a different world. The speed changes, the turns, everything about it, and then all obviously the fun stuff like washboard and sand. How much of a toll that takes on your body, and you could ride up. I really believe, at least for me, I could ride 80 miles on the road and probably 40 miles on gravel and get about the same workout, depending on the how intense the gravel is.
Yeah, Gary, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think if you have a road correlation to expecting, go on a road course and have the same level of output endurance required for the distance, it's absolutely not there. And I think your estimation
Mhm.
of kind of in that 50 to 70% kind of like coefficient of weighting that you'd apply to it, right? So if you're thinking
Mhm.
40 miles on gravel is about equivalent of 80 on road, that's probably about right expectations. So it's definitely going to be an adventure. I think some of the quicker people that we rode with this on were able to do it in about 3.5, 4 hours.
Okay.
Depending on their speed. But I've seen people take them 6, 7, 8 hours, just depending on their level of fitness.
Hmm. The scenery just sounds so much fun, and I'm just becoming more and more addicted to gravel. So I would not be surprised to see me on this ride because it's starting to really pique my interest. And Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Not only obviously we're going to post information about your website on our page, but we're going to have a sign up on our page for this. This event's already listed on Colorado Avid Cyclists in the event page, but we're going to put this as one of our premier events on a new section that's going to be on our homepage coming up soon. So hopefully there'll be a lot of different avenues for people to find you.
Gary, we sincerely appreciate, obviously being able to send this out to your community. Hopefully, your community, will enjoy an event like this. We certainly think that it's a fun one, and more importantly, it really gives people a chance to do something different and special.
Mhm.
I kind of liken it to, if you're familiar with like steamboat gravel, that
Yep.
type of an experience for the event. It's almost the exact same parallel, right? When you look at where it is relative to the state, we're just not
Mhm.
over, the Route National Forest there. We're just on the other side of it. And so there's actually a section that you'll come into that you'll get a view that just goes extremely, right out to that area. So if you're, avid cyclist, people that listen to Pedal Talk, like an adventure that's out in a spot that really does lend itself to world class, cycling, we couldn't be more excited to be having, Wild West Gravel listed on your site.
Well, it's going to be there. And like I said, we'll have the information. I'll flash it up here shortly. And if you have any questions, hop on that website. And I believe there's a contact information there to get a hold of you guys directly. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So you can, on the website, there's all sorts of information. We've broken out kind of an FAQ of everything you need to know, what's included, what you can expect for training, what you can expect for needs and bike. Um, Certainly, if you have any questions, there's a contact form. We're pretty good about getting back to people within a day. So, we want to make sure that we have all the questions answered. More importantly, if we see a new question come in, we're always adding to our FAQ so that others, can kind of share in on that. But definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to hit us. You can also email ride@wildwestgravel.com. That'll get us as well, and it'll allow for you to get instant access to our email.
Awesome. Well, once again, I really appreciate you coming by. Appreciate you being part of this. And I'm looking forward to this event.
Gary, thank you so much. We look forward to hopefully seeing you and the rest of your community out in September. The event is September 6th through the 8th. Again, that's a Friday through Sunday. And like I said, if you get anything else, want to ask any questions, feel free to hit us up on our website, wildwestgravel.com.
We'll do it. Thank you once again. Take care.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate the time.
Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thanks.